Hello, my name is Bianca Winship, and this is my presentation that outlines how I would support professional development at Amanda C. Rowe Elementary as part of introducing my literacy action plan. The format for this presentation is designed for my faculty as the audience, but I'll also switch back and forth between the facilitator's hat and presenter's hat to support justification for my actions in this presentation. Whenever I present to my staff or other staff within my district, I send an agenda ahead of time that outlines the objectives or goals of the PD. Agenda items with times, resources needed, and links for resources available or a part of the PD with an exit slip or feedback form to address my facilitation and collect reflections based on my PD. I would introduce this PD mid-year or later in the year in order to take critical action steps during the summer. I have a day carved out, but it may need to be broken up into separate PDs after school. I would want clear dates established during the summer for staff to attend PD, and this takes time to nail down a date and also gives staff time to mull over the ideas presented. So, as staff filter into the library, our presentation area, I would welcome them and jump into our objectives, which should not be new to them due to the agenda. So today we'll be working towards presenting a clear plan of supporting staff to implement a literacy action plan, to design a clear plan for professional development to adopt teachers' college reading units of study that aligns with our project-based learning model, and also to align structural and personal supports to scaffold overall literacy development for our diverse student population. As we tackle this work today, we'll be reflecting on these themes of trust, building a literacy community, content, and student thinking. Choose one of these lenses and discuss what it may imply. Staff may share with one another, and I would rephrase or reiterate their responses that trust may imply establishing trust among each other as professionals, trust in the data, trust in students, and trust in the curriculum. Literacy community may imply the community that needs to be established in order for the curriculum to be meaningful. Content is the literacy story that will unravel in reading and writing throughout the year based on the Common Core standards. Finally, student thinking implies using student work and thinking to inform instruction, and that their participation and engagement is what drives the curriculum and the instruction. To create a literacy community, let's first think, how do you feel about literacy in a word? And in a word, how do your students feel about literacy? So once staff has had time to share their post-its, I would read their responses and summarize feelings about literacy. Again, let's dig deeper and take time to write and reflect on the following questions. What literacy experiences frame the way you feel about literacy, and what types of experiences might frame the way the students feel about literacy? Once staff have had time to reflect, I would select a few willing staff members to share out. Staff would then record what they're most excited about and nervous about to validate the need for change with our literacy program, but to also acknowledge that change is hard. These few slides drive at the need to create a positive common culture amongst my staff as we approach the work together. Bean states that strong professional development and support can be undermined if the climate and culture of a school is in jeopardy. This slide may be replaced with established norms, but I included it to drive at the need for norms to support doing literacy and establishing a literacy community. It also serves as a set of expectations as we have difficult, authentic discussions. To support the justification of my literacy action plan, I used various pieces of data from our district culture and climate survey called the TNPT Instructional Insight Survey, our school-wide data assessments, including the NWEA to measure intermediate student proficiency and growth, CPAA for primary students' proficiency and growth, and the MEA, our state proficiency test. I also included data from our school-wide data platform, Infinite Campus, and notes from our leadership meeting. So let's dive into our data. Here is a snapshot of Amanda C. Rowe students and status. And based on our TNPT survey results, Staff reported the lowest scores in instructional planning, instructional leader reviews of student work, time for teachers to analyze student work, and time for instructional planning. The data also reveals that the majority of our staff feel that our work is unsustainable and that there is insufficient planning time, insufficient time or feedback with a coach, and the schedule is not structured to support teachers. Areas to which staff felt we excelled focused on effective teaching, rigor of academics, teachers setting high expectations for one another, staff being positive and trusting with students and families, and viewing families as partners to increase achievement. Now let's dive into some student data. As teachers unpack the data presented from the MEA ELA results using a high-leverage routine, what do you notice, what do you wonder, teachers would come to the conclusion that our literacy proficiency has been decreasing over time, and a significant gap is evident among ELL and non-ELL students. This is also grossly apparent with our students with disabilities. Overall, indication based on our MEA data, NWA, and CPAA data shows a steady decline in ELA proficiency. So what are we supposed to do now? Well, we're already taking steps in the right direction. We have TC's units of study for writing, which is aligned to the Common Core standards and has brought continuity to our writing curriculum. We're working on integrating a project-based learning model to engage our students in inquiry-based practices. We already have 90 minutes of literacy worked into our instructional day using the workshop model, which is supported by current research. And we have a combination of pull-out and push-in services and monthly literacy meetings. So what's missing? What can we do now? As a staff, part of our work will be to establish a common vision for literacy at our schools for our students. With this, we will bring continuity to writing as well as reading by adopting Teachers College reading units of study. Adopting TC will not be the fix-all for our literacy woes and deficits, but support the alignment of writing and deliver instruction aligned to the Common Core standards. We will continue to use a project-based learning model, but align our science and social studies standards to create a balanced, standard-based matrix of topics covered in each grade to avoid repetition of topics and the elimination of others. That's a tall order. How are we going to accomplish all this work? Our TNPT survey clearly indicates that we feel our work is already unsustainable due to lack of time and planning. That is why this can only happen with clear, consistent, long-term, multifaceted professional development. This ongoing PD will include summer training to unpack and launch TC's reading units of study, 6 release days with your team to unpack, align, and plan upcoming units. 50% of our weekly early release PD days will be dedicated to our literacy plan. Also, based on our TNPT survey and current research, we'll also build into our schedule consistent collaborative time with the literacy coach to plan and co-teach to give you actionable instructional implications. Finally, staff will have an opportunity to seek further training to support leadership roles, as well as peer modeling and observation. This final step will require a literacy team that will build our leadership capacity. A group of teachers, including ELL literacy coaches, administration, and teachers, will support our weekly PD, analyze data and growth to identify strengths and gaps, and support peer modeling and observation. Another group will be established that speaks to our diverse population of students. As our school breakdown shows, we have 35% English language learners and about 18% of students with disabilities and 48% of students with free and reduced lunch. These students make up a huge percentage of our total population, so their specific needs need to be taken into account. To support our diverse population of students and close the gap in proficiency among our ELL and students with disabilities, we will establish a culture response team made up of ELL teachers, literacy and math coaches, administration, and teachers to deliver PD and analyze data and growth to identify strengths and gaps in our instruction and curriculum. This team will deliver PD that has clear instructional and curricular implications that support a worldview perspective that emulates our ELL population, how we serve our students with disabilities and students in poverty. As we come to a close, let's use our themes for reflection. Choose 2 themes and share what evidence of those themes you saw in our work and how it may impact your work with students or your colleagues. Staff would have time to write their reflections and share out. A Google form would also be provided in the agenda so I may receive feedback on my facilitation and collect staff's insight into today's work. So this concludes my presentation on how I would deliver a plan for professional development from my literacy action plan. I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.